When I got fired in January 2020, I had 0 followers, 0 ad budget, and I sure as hell wasn't making cold calls. I was broke, like payment refused messages every single day. Kind of broke. My girlfriend was sending me money just so I could eat. 7 weeks later, I signed my first email marketing client for $3,500 per month. And I've built that into a 7-figure agency doing over $5 million in client revenue, all without spending a single penny on ads, building a following first, or picking up the phone to cold call anyone. So if you're stuck thinking you need followers or money to get clients, I am about to show you exactly what actually works when you're starting from zero. Let's talk about the advice that you've been fed. Every guru out there is telling you the same. Build your personal brand first, post content every day for 6 months, run Facebook ads, cold call 100 businesses a day. Here's the problem with all of that, right? It just assumes that you have resources that you don't have. You don't have a social media following. You don't have a Facebook ads budget or an Instagram ads budget. And if you're anything like what I was when I started, you're broke. You need clients now, not in 6 months, not after you've built your personal brand. And cold calling, let's be so for real. When you're starting out, you don't have the confidence to pick up the phone and interrupt someone's day to pitch them something that you have never done before. It's high pressure at the end of the day. It feels very desperate, very low vibrational, and most people, they're just gonna hang up on you anyway. Now, I'm not saying any of that stuff doesn't work. I'm just saying at the end of the day, there are better things that you can do and things you can leverage as a beginner that has 0. So here's what I did instead. I reached out to businesses where I could see a specific visible problem that I could solve. I'm gonna say that again because this is important. A specific, visible, painful problem. I wasn't sending generic messages like, hey, I don't email marketing, are you interested? That's what everyone else is doing, and that's why everyone else is getting ignored, right? Instead, I was looking at their business, actually going to their website, signing up for their email list, adding items to my cart, and finding the clear gaps, right? And then I'd reach out, pointing out those very specific problems, not, do you need email marketing? Instead, I would say something like, hey, I noticed that your pop-up only captures email and not SMS, so you're leaving 2 to 3 times more leads on the table. And your abandoned cart sequence, well, it didn't even fire when I added a couple of items to my cart. That's 8 to 12% of your revenue pretty much just sitting there. And that's not a sales pitch. That's just leading with value. That's just showing them that you've actually done the work to understand their business. And here's the psychology behind why this works. People are way more open to a conversation when you're pointing out a problem that they can verify themselves within 10 seconds versus just trying to sell them something. You're not interrupting them. You're just helping them see money that they're already leaving on the table. By the way, if you want help with this entire system, step by step, the exact positioning, outreach templates, and how to close clients, then click the first link in the description to learn more. Next thing we want to talk about is the warm outreach system. Let's get a bit tactical. How do you actually find these businesses? So here's what I did personally. I looked for e-commerce brands, specifically direct-to-consumer brands doing anywhere between 50K a month in revenue. How do you know that they're doing that? Well, they have a real website, probably running Facebook advertising, they have social proof, and they're clearly investing in the business, right? So I'd find them using tools like Clay, Store Leads, ListKit, no affiliation with these guys, just what works. I'd then scrape that info. I would build a list of those brands that fit my criteria. You can also find these guys on Instagram by searching like hashtags and specific niches, and Google searches like, I don't know, sustainable fashion brands in the UK or skincare brands in the US. You can use Shopify store directories, but the fastest way is to use these tools. Scrape the data and just build your list in an hour instead of a week. In fact, back when I used to do it, I used to hire a guy on Fiverr to build a list and it'd take a couple of days. So here's the key. I focused on a specific niche that I understood. So for me, that was fashion and lifestyle brands, right? Because I had worked in that world when I worked with JD Sports. Why does this matter? Well, because you need to understand the industry that you're outreaching to. It's more relevant and you're going to be way more credible. You're not just some random person reaching out. You actually get their business. So here is the structure of the message that actually worked for me. So I would start with a subject line that felt like it came from a friend rather than a marketer, right? So I'd start with something dead simple. So thoughts, John, and I'd make it lowercase, casual, instant pattern interrupt. Then in the message, I'd say something like, yeah, I was poking around your brand, John, this morning, 2 things jumped out. And then I'd point out the 2 specific problems that I found. I'd say the pop-up was only asking for email, the abandoned cart isn't firing, and whatever gaps I actually saw. Then I'd give them the impact in numbers. So I'd say, John, if you split your pop-up into email and SMS, you can 2 to 3x your captured leads without adding any traffic. That abandoned cart issue that you have, it's leaving 8 to 12% of revenue on the table every single month. Then I'd I'd position myself not as a freelancer, but as a consultant, I would say I'm an email marketing consultant who works one-to-one with select e-commerce fashion brands doing 50K a month. And then I'd give them proof framed around the problem. So I would say something like, I recently helped a fashion brand very similar to yours grow their email revenue from 7% to 30% in 90 days just by tightening their lead capture and their core flows. And here's the CTA that changed everything. I didn't ask for a call, I just asked a question. Curious, John, what are you currently doing to increase repeat orders as we move into the slower months? That's low friction. That's easy to respond to. That moves their brain into problem solving mode, not is this person trying to sell me something mode. And then the PS, this is where you show exactly that you give about their brand. So I would say something like, PS, notice you guys had a recent collaboration with Drake, saw him wearing your stuff at his concert last week, looked even better in person. That's personalization, that's reciprocity. That is what makes them actually want to respond. So the next thing I want to talk about is following up without being annoying. Now, this is the reality. Most people, they're not going to respond in the first message, and that is completely normal. Deal with it. You need to be okay with that. I'd say maybe 10 to 15% of people responded to my first message. The rest, dead silent. Go city, go central. But here's what I learned, right? The follow-up is actually where the money's at. That's actually where you win. I'd wait 3 to 4 days and then I'd follow up with more value. I don't do the low vibrational messages like, hey, just checking in, or did you see my last message? That's just so weak. It's weak sauce. Instead, I'd send something like, hey, I put together a quick breakdown of what I'd fix first in your email strategy. The pop-up split test alone will probably add 500 to 1,000 emails every single month based on your traffic. Do you want me to walk you through it? Again, more value, not more pressure, right? And if they still don't respond after 2 follow-ups, I just keep going till they tell me to off. I know it's so controversial. I'm not gonna stop messaging them just because they stopped responding. I'm just gonna keep going, because most people, they're not ignoring you because they're not interested. They're ignoring you because they're busy. I do it myself when people reach out to me, right? Here's what I've learned. Most of my best clients came from 18 days of follow-up or like 6 months of follow-up, not like 1 or 2 days. And this is the thing. Most of the people that tell you to respect their time and move on after 2 follow-ups, they try and you're leaving money on the table by doing this. So the next thing I want to talk about is how you turn one client into a literal referral system. Once you land your first client, here's where most people up. They get comfortable, they take the foot off the gas, they deliver okay-ish results, and then they wonder, they're like, oh, why am I not getting any referrals? Or why is it that I'm struggling to raise my prices? And here's what I did differently. I focus intensely, obsessively on getting results for the first client. Not just good results, but great results. So I built them a welcome series, an abandoned cart flow, post-purchase sequence, and monthly campaign strategy. And within the first 30 days, those flows generated, I think, around about $16,000 in revenue for them. And once I had those results, I asked for 2 things, right? I asked for a testimonial and a referral. And the way I did it, I said, I think it was about week 6, when the results are fresh, I sent them a message. I said, hey, we just hit like 18K in email revenue in about 30 days. I'm really happy with how this is going. I would love to turn this into a case study. Do you have a quick 15 minutes for a quick interview where I can walk you through what we did and the results? And then I can use obviously that to reach out to other brands where possible. And as a thank you for doing that, I'm going to knock $500 off your next invoice. Does that sound good? Most clients are going to say yes immediately, right? Because the results are fresh. They're excited. They're hyped. And you're making it worth their time after all. Now, the interview format is so key. It needs to be clutch, because you're not asking them to sit down and write something. You're having a conversation. It's just a conversation, and you're asking questions. They answer the questions. You get a video testimonial. That is way more powerful than text. And then as for referrals, I keep it super casual, super chill. So I would usually say something like, hey, like, you probably have a bunch of like founder friends that could benefit from this. Please feel free to send them my way. I'm pretty selective about who I work with, but if they're a good fit, believe you me, I'm going to take care of them, and I'll swing something your way just as a thank you. So that's not begging, right? That's just making it easy for them to refer you if they want to. And it works because you've delivered results and they actually want to help you. Most people will say yes if you've actually delivered good results and value. And here's the strategy that compounds everything. I use those results and case studies to target other businesses in the exact same niche. So I got results for a fashion brand. I'd reach out to other fashion brands and say, hey, I just helped a new project grow their email revenue from 4% to 30% in 90 days. And here is exactly what I did. I think I could do something similar for you. That is way more powerful than I just do email marketing. Are you interested? Like, y'all gonna buy my No, you're not selling a service anymore. You're selling proven results in a specific industry. And that's how one client turns to 2, turns to 5 and 10, and it becomes a referral engine. Within 6 months, I had 5 clients. Within a year, I had 12, and I never spent a penny on ads or built any sort of social media following. So here is the system. You find businesses with clear needs. You reach out with value. You position yourself as the expert, and you turn those first wins into a referral engine. This is how you build a real business without followers, ads, or cold calls. So if you want me to show you exactly how to do this step by step, then click the first link in the description to learn more.